Good morning. All right. We're going to call y'all the lefties and the righties. Amen. Lefties got you righties beat. Amen. Woo. I might need to turn the pews back straight. Amen. Whew. Good morning. Glad y'all could come out today to be with us. Amen. I was driving home yesterday from Opelika, Alabama. It's about 3.5, 4 hour ride, and I just got to thinking, man, this sure is a long ride to go to church. I came home specifically for church today, right? And I just heard the Lord, to whisper to me how he does, and he's like, you didn't mind riding around 6 and 7 hours to go do drugs? I'm thinking, whoa. I'm sorry. Amen. I had to redo my brain the way I was thinking at that moment. Now, don't get me wrong. I love coming to church. I love being part of the ministry. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying by no means. But for that split second, I got into my thoughts. I got into my feelings, and I was like, man, And I was like, man, I need to amp this up, take advantage of this opportunity. So, anyways, with that being said, I just want to encourage you to be in the mindset of this is an honorable thing to be able to sacrifice our day to be able to come into the presence of the Lord. Amen. That no matter what's going on out there, you got to think about all the things during the weekdays that is in our life that stops us from being able to be in his presence. Whether it's work, whether it's loved ones, family, children, our job, whatever it may be, all these distractions out there. And this one day that we lay aside, 100% lay aside for him, that's an honor to have that. To where, we didn't do that in our past lives, amen. And now that we come to know the Lord, I just want to refresh you and encourage you to, to know that this is an honor to be able to do this. It's not just something that we get to do every week, amen. It's a blessing that we're all able to sacrifice our Sunday and come and do this, amen. So with that mindset, somebody's back there supposed to be mashing buttons, but I don't see them. Our worship team is not here. Well, transition. We're transitioning to new leadership, amen. So, okay. Y'all want me to sing to you? Jesus loves me. Y'all come on, sing it with me. For the Bible tells me so. Yes, Jesus. Yes, he loves me. I'm just trying to do the best until the YouTube worship kicks on. Amen. Woo, there he is. Praise the Lord. Man. So anyways, on that note, y'all stand to your feet with me. Let's worship the Lord today. Let's give him honor today for being able to have this day sacrificed so we can spend with him. And this altar is always open. You don't need an invitation to come up here. If you feel something drawing you, feel something convicting you, you need prayer, come up here. And we'll pray with you, amen. There's no shame, amen. There's no shame. Father, we just invite your Holy Spirit in here. We just thank you for your presence, Lord Jesus. We just glorify you above all things, and we say amen.
Be the incense, the sweetest sustain the fire, so I ask for the oil. I want the fire, but without the oil, can't sustain the fire, so I ask for the oil. I want the oil. I want the oil. I want the oil of intimacy. I want the oil. I want the oil. I want
Hey y'all, listen. I don't want to do this. And I want to be obedient, but I just feel this stirring up in me to share this with you. When I was younger, I was messed with. It messed me up. Messed me up pretty bad. When I came to know the Lord, I didn't know that had messed me up so bad. I didn't realize how messed up I was because I was spun out on drugs, and I medicated, running around being a whoremonger, thief, needle junkie, crackhead, meth head, adulterer, living in that life of sin, and it camouflaged it and covered it all up, and I never had to deal with it. But when I got sober, the Lord revealed this to me. Some of y'all want to hear, listening to me. It happened to you too. Oh, shut up. Freedom. Freedom. Bind you, Satan. Lord told me to share this with you because when he revealed this to me in the beginning of my walk 10 years ago, I was bound. I was bound by unforgiveness. I was bound by bitterness. I didn't know. And the Lord made me forgive them. I had to choose to do it and be obedient, but the Lord made me forgive them. Do you hear me? I don't know who this is for today. I'm not saying go to that person unless the Lord leads you. But I am telling you today that you need to forgive them. You need to forgive them. You're never going to experience the true love of God until you let go of it and forgive them. I don't care who it was. Friends, family member, next door neighbor. Somebody in the church. Doesn't matter. You're never going to experience that true love and that true peace that God has as long as you're bound by it. I had to go to the person and look them in the face and forgive them. God sent me to them. I said, if you want me to do this, you're going to have to send them to me. And they found me on Facebook 2 weeks later. They just out of nowhere, I ain't seen them in 20 years, friend requesting me. And I had to go meet them and I had to go face them. And I told them I was sorry. And they told me they were sorry. Amen. And when I did, tears just flooded out of this person's face. The Holy Ghost just showed up on the scene. Amen. That light's blinding me. I don't know who needs to hear this today. Maybe you were the one that did it. I'm just saying, y'all please don't be mad at me. If it's happened to you, whatever. I'm just encouraging you today. If you want to be brave and bold, step out and come to this altar and give it to God and let him put peace in your heart there. Let him give you peace. If you don't want to come up here, I understand it's bashful. Took everything I had to get up here in front of you and say this has happened to me. But I had to speak it today. Amen. If you just want to turn around in your seat, if you just want to sit down and just say, I forgive them, Lord. You don't even have to sit down because then that's going to make it look like it was you. Nobody cares. Just say it under your breath and say it out loud to the Lord in your own way and be released from that torment. I'm telling you, you will never walk in the true peace of God with that in your heart. And it ain't even about what they did. It's about what's in your heart. It's about what's in your heart. Amen. Well, Father, I just thank you right now for giving my brothers Oh. Giving them strength, Lord, to forgive the ones that's wronged them, Lord. I just thank you right now for your spirit coming upon them, Lord. Shut up, God. Strength, Jesus. I just glorify you right now in this moment, Lord. I pray that you give them boldness to declare forgiveness against anyone that's wronged them in this way, Lord. And we glorify you. We say amen.
Just one look and I'm forever undone. Precious Jesus, you're the one I want to love. My life's purpose is to simply bless your heart. So here is all my oil, love it on my soul. I saved it all for you. I saved it all for you. Oh, day by day I pray this costly offering. I saved it all for you, Jesus, all for you. My great rabbi, you are clothed in robes of light. Where could I go? Only you speak words of life. Precious Jesus, you're the one I want to love. My life's purpose is to simply bless your heart. So here is all my oil, love it on my soul. I saved it all for worship you for your word. And now I give my life all for your glory. My worthy King, my worthy, I wanna honor you like you deserve it. I wanna worship you for your worthy. And now I give my life all for your glory. My worthy King, my worthy, I wanna honor you like you deserve it. I wanna worship you for your worthy. And now I give my life all for your glory. My worthy King, my worthy, I wanna honor you like you deserve it. I wanna worship you for your worthy. And now I give my life all for your glory. My worthy King, we sing. We need a move of God. We need a move of God. We need a move of God. We're hungry, we're desperate. Lord, open the heavens. Come on, say it. We need a move of God in this city. We need a move of God in this church. We need a move of God. We're hungry, we're desperate. Lord, open the heavens. Say, we need a move of God in our families. We need a move of God in our hearts. We need a move. Say, we're hungry, we're desperate. Lord, open the heavens. Fire on the altar, fresh wind blowing through. We're gonna stay here till we come. Make us an offering, make us an upper room. We're gonna stay here till we encounter you. Fire on the altar, fresh wind blowing through. We're gonna stay here till we encounter you. Make us an offering, make us an upper room. We're gonna stay here till we encounter you. We need a move of God. We need a move of God. We need a move of God. We're hungry, we're desperate. Lord, open the heavens. Lift your voice and say, we need a move of God. We're crying out, Lord. We need a move of God all over the world. We need a move of God. We're hungry, we're desperate. Lord, oh, all across the earth sing today. We need a we need a move of God. We need a move of God. We're hungry, we're desperate. Lord, open the heavens. Cry out to you, Lord. Have your way, have your way. Come on by with us, Lord. How awesome, how holy is the place where you abide. Come abide with us, Lord. 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 That's our prayer.
Come abide with us, Lord. Abide with us,
How awesome, how holy is the place where you abide. Come abide with us, Lord. Come on, sing that together. How awesome, how holy is the place where
you come and abide? Would you come and abide, Lord? Would you come and abide? We want you to stay. 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 Come and abide, Lord. Come and abide, Lord.
Hey, you to come in your glory. Oh, to come in the glory. We surround you. You surround us. You surround us. Oh, glory. Oh, with the weight of your glory. Oh, with the weight of your glory. Surround us. Surround us. With the weight of your glory. With the weight of your glory. Turn that light on when you move that one up there, the podium. The podium when I turn the light on. Yeah. Oh, oh, oh. Hallelujah. Good morning, everybody. You know, sometimes I wonder why things happen. I sound like I'm echoing, Jeffrey. Do I sound like I'm echoing? You know, sometimes I wonder, why things take place. And then I think back of how I am sometimes, and I say, well, I believe the Lord allows things to happen to slow me down sometimes. You know, we got in a wreck last weekend, and hey, turn me down some, Jeffrey, because it's bouncing in my head. It's different than it always is. And I know I normally move when I talk. I was telling somebody earlier it's going to be a lot different for me today, trying to keep one arm from moving as much as the other one, because the left always keeps up with the right, I believe, when I'm moving. But ever since the situation, that something in there which I know God's going to bring a testimony out of it, and it's definitely been a little different this week. I'm not used to not being able to pick things up. You ever been so used to doing things all the time, and it's like then all of a sudden you can't? And then I was thinking, I had a revelation too. I was riding because it's my left arm that's not operating, wanting to operate the way it should operate. And I was thinking, I guess I don't need to do things the way the left side does things anymore. I need to focus all on the right. I was just, I pray sometimes. I talk to the Lord, and I like to I like to figure things out. Anybody else like that? I like to know all the dots, all the T's, all the question marks, everything to be fixed. So I'm always trying to go through the system to figure out every point. Why this, why that? Not like a boo-hoo why, but I want to know. I learned years ago that a closed mouth don't get fed. If you don't know, the best way to know is to search it out, to ask questions, is to pay attention, of which this is a little thing I've been telling some people here lately is, think about it all the times our kids come and ask us for things that they want to be a part of while we're doing it, and we shoo them off because we're trying to work on it, right? But what would happen if we'd say, son, come here, sit down, I want to teach you how to replace these brakes. Come here, son, I want to teach you how to change the oil. Here, son, this is what I'm doing. I'm replacing the gears, or I'm putting new bearings in the rear end, and you sat them down and you taught them through it. You know what I mean? So I was shooing them off. Boy, I'm trying to get this job done. Get away right now. Can't you see I'm working? You know what I mean? But what if we included them? You know what I mean? Maybe they're like some of us, and they want to know everything that's going on. Amen? I sit with a lot of people that don't even know how to change out bearings. They couldn't fix bearings if they were on the side of the road. They'd have to call a tow truck. So I believe that it's important that we allow our children or allow people around us to learn as well. I don't normally do it. I did it a couple weeks ago. I'm going to do it again, praise God. But I'm going to do the announcements. And then I'm going to share something that the Lord spoke to me back there about the tithes and offerings. But we do the baptisms. I know there's a transitioning taking place. I talked to Pastor Chris Farley already. He said that baptisms, that they would still do baptisms on the first Sunday of the month. Now, I'm not quite sure if they'll use the baptism trough or if they'll continue to go to the river like we always have. I love the running water. Something about it. Years ago, I did it in the running water, and I hadn't stopped since. I have done some in some baptism pools, but if I have the choice or the decision to make of setting up the location, we'll go to the river. That's what I enjoy. But either way, baptism's baptism, as long as your heart's in it. That's what I tell people. It's all about a heart posture. It's all about, what decision you made. But anyways, baptisms would be the first Sunday of the month. Fellowship dinner is the last Sunday, of which, guys, we're going to fellowship and eat after. I know some of us brought some things. We're going to pick up some more things when we go get the chicken. So if you want to stay in fellowship with us, we'd love for you to stay in fellowship. If you didn't bring nothing, it's fine. You can still fellowship. You can have my plate. I'll sit and talk with you while you eat it. And I'm serious when I say that. That's no big deal to me. But what I'm saying is stay in fellowship. We love to talk with one another. We love to get to know one another. Some of us may have not seen each other in a while. Some of us may have seen each other this week. But I believe in, and I tell people this all the time, I believe that the more we know each other outside of a move of God, the more we really do know each other. You understand what I mean by that? If you only know us while we're ministering, then you don't know us. And that goes both ways. Because the anointing hits and something different takes place. You know what I mean? I used to tell people all the time years ago, you need to come follow me home, come hang out with me for a while, because you're acting like I'm something I'm not. You saw the anointing. I'll give you an example of something I've dealt with a lot over the years. And one of the things the Lord does is he shows me things. Anybody gets around me any amount of time knows that I see. You know what I mean? It's just something that God gifted me with. Even before I was born again, because the Bible says that gifting and the calling of God are without repentance. You got that thing regardless if you repent of your sins or not. But woe be to him or her who uses it for their own glory. You know what I mean? We should be using it to his glory. You know what I mean? But there's gifted people out there anointed to do things, and they're doing it for the wrong reason. But they'll be held accountable if they don't repent. Don't get all caught up in that. But what I'm saying is I've always been able to see. And when I say see, I see not in the natural, but I see things going on. I see heart motives, and I see stuff all the time, and I can pinpoint stuff and tell people. And I've had so many people tell me I'm crazy, but then it comes out. But I've done that in places in ministry before. And then I'd see the person later on or see people later on, week, 2 weeks, 4 weeks later, and they'd say, what's the Lord saying about this? What's this? And I need a word. God said you had a word for me. And I'm like, hold on a minute. I'm not a bottle genie. It's not like a big lamp. You don't rub on it and it pops out. You know what I'm saying? I said it's as he wills. So we were fasting and praying up to the meeting that you were a part of, and God used a bunch of us to deliver something to you. You know what I mean? But that don't mean that we're just always walking around with all this stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's what I tell people. It's the gifting. It's the calling. So what I'm saying is he uses us as we will, but we need to know each other when we're not in that. Does that make sense? We need to know each other on a personal level of who we are. You know what I mean? Every day of our lives. So that we learn to work together, pray together, fast together, seek God together, worship him, and get in the word together and grow together. Amen? And then when he chooses to use us, wherever we're at, whether it's here, the grocery store, gas station, restaurant, or wherever, it gets done and he gets the glory. Amen? So fellowship dinner, we love to fellowship. Wednesday night, 6 p.m. is pizza. You come, we can eat pizza, and then we do service at 6:30. The barn ministry, there's 2 of them. We have a barn ministry at Loxley, or actually the one here, let me start with one here in Watson. The one at Loxley has been going on longer, so I'm just kind of used to that one, so I've talked about it more because it's been going on for over a year now. But the one here at the Watson Farm Ministry is on the first Tuesday night. And it's great. It's a great group of men that come together. If you haven't been, I'll encourage you to go. There's a free steak. First 300 people get a free steak. Then there's a great testimony, a speaker, somebody that does worship. It's something great to come together as men to just grow in the Lord. If you hadn't ever been, I encourage you to go. And that's on the first Tuesday of every month. This Tuesday, the speaker is going to be Paul McLean. He's moved to Texas. He used to be a pastor here in Mobile. Grace Church, Grace Assembly, I think was the name of it. But anyways, he's big part of Outback, and a great man of God. If you don't know who he is, you'd love to go hear him speak. He's kind of like Pastor Dick Braswell. He's one of the generals, I say, in the faith. He's an older man. He's been doing great works for God and his kingdom. He's going to be the speaker, I know, at this one coming up in next month at the barn. Or actually, it's this month. No, it'll be next month. We ain't quite transitioned in March yet. But anyways, then the third Tuesday, it's over at Firecracker Lane in Loxley, Alabama. They have a little bit different way they do things over there. Still testimonies, still messages, still speakers. Everybody comes together. You have to pre-register for that one. You can't just show up. But if you want to go, you can get with me, get with Brother Jeffrey, somebody that's been. We can get you connected. They just want a head count over there. They do make about 20 or 25 extra steaks, but they do theirs by reservation. You know, and so they actually have their set up because they actually use a different style steak as well. So they like to know who's coming. But I wanted to share with you something real fast pertaining to giving. And I wasn't even going to give, but Brother Jeffrey opened up. Brother Jeffrey normally takes it. Sometimes Elvis helps. Seen people a few different people share on this. I never do the offering. That's something, be honest with you, years ago, I never even wanted to be a part of. I told the Lord years ago, I said, I ain't dealing with money in the church. I said, I won't do it. I won't never be labeled that. I said, I'm done with it. You know, people used to try to give me money. I wouldn't even take it. And the Lord dealt with me. And this is what he told me. He said, you are hindering what is coming to them by not receiving because it can't multiply if it don't go forward. And I didn't realize what he was even saying about that alone. Now, when I talk about that, I'm talking about my first year being born again. You know what I mean? God had to deal with me with a lot of areas. But I didn't want it. I said, no, I'm not doing it. Well, the Lord gave me that revelation. I said, okay. And then, I went to a big church one time down in Lord. I was down there worshiping, and a guy come up to me, the pastor of it, and he said, hey, and he'd heard me speak before. He said, hey, I want you to take up an offering. And he said, take up an offering for the church. Can you do that for me tonight? And I said, sure, I'll do it. I said, I'll pray real quick. I'll add it to what I'm praying about, and we'll get something together. Well, while I was up there praying at the altar, the Lord showed me what to do. And I brought the message forth on tithes and offerings. The pastor came to me after the service was over with, and he said, Brother Kevin, he said, I have never in all of my years had an coming into an offering the way it just came in. He said it's mind-blowing what just happened in here. You know what I mean? Well, there was some leaders connected there, and that were all in there. Well, anyways, one of them wanted me to speak at their ministry. Like, I think it was 2 weeks later, the following week, 2 weeks or something. We set it up like 2 weeks later. Well, I went to his ministry to preach, and that pastor came to me just like the other one did, but he said basically the same thing, but he added something to the end. And he said, and after you take up the offering, he said, the offering's yours. And I said, Lord, I told you this isn't what I was going to do. So I preached the message. I actually preached at his church that time, but he wanted me to do the offering as well. So I did the offering. I did the tithes and offering. I did the message, closed it out with an altar call. And the pastor come to me after the service. He said, man, I told you to take up tithes and offerings, that it was going home with you. And I said, I'll never be labeled a money preacher. I said, if the congregation or anybody would ever found out that I was going home with that offering, they would have said I did it the way I did it. I pumped it up. I put all those scriptures together. I jumped it, excited it, got everybody fired up to put money in there because it was going home with me. I said, I don't, I didn't say this, but I was saying to say, buddy, you was there a couple of weeks ago. You heard what the pastor said. I won't have that labeled on me. I'd rather go home and say, hey, I didn't take up one. So money's never been something I enjoyed to do. But while I was standing right back there just a minute ago, like literally right before we stopped the worship, the Lord dropped this in me and told me to do this. So I want you to listen to this. And there's so many places that we could talk about with giving. You know, and I'm going to throw this out there real quick before I read this. And because I want you to hear what I'm finna say. You know, in Philippians 4:19, it says, and my God shall supply all your needs according to his riches and glory in Christ Jesus. That is true. It's absolutely true. But I want you to understand something. You got to back up about 9 verses. Matter of fact, just read the whole chapter. But you need to back up and do what it says to do right there, those verses before there. Because that verse is true, But if you don't do what's before that, that verse ain't going to happen. Because Paul was talking about people that were giving. He told them they gave not only once, but they gave again and again into the needs of what he was doing. He was a missionary. He was an evangelist too as well, to say. He was traveling, setting up churches, building God's kingdom. And it took money to do that. It took things to get that done. And Paul was saying not only that they did it, he said nobody else shared with us in giving and receiving, but you only in Macedonia. And he said not only that you did it again and again. He said, not that I seek. Now you go read it. I know what it says because I've learned it. But it says, not that I seek the gift, but I seek for the fruit that abounds to your account, is what he told them. Because there was fruit that was going to come to them. And he said, for I have learned to be abased and I've learned to abound. I've learned to be with and I've learned to be without. I've learned to be full and I've learned to be hungry. I've learned to be in prison, been all within and without. He said, what? For I can do all things through Christ. That verse is in there too. You know, and that's verse 13. But then he goes on, he talks about their giving a little bit more, and then he talks about how my God shall supply. So just remember that just like the Lord told me years ago, about 12 years ago, that I was hindering the things that he was getting to others by not receiving what he had for me. Amen? How many of y'all know unless you put a seed in the ground, nothing's going to grow? All right, so I want to read this with you real quick. Now, this ain't talking about seeds. It's a little bit different. I didn't really mean to preach, but I was trying to stay off of I wanted you to understand a little bit, and I tried to stay out of it a little bit, but I did have to get it out. But listen, so verse 1, and this is in Luke chapter 5. Listen what this says, guys. Now, I'm going to read this out of a New King James because some translations don't say it the way this says it. And I looked at it in the original, and in the original, there's not an S in a minute where we're going. It's just like in the 9 gifts of the Spirit. And just like where it says, talks about the fruit of the Spirit, I want you to notice there's 9 slices of the fruit of the Spirit. There's not 9 fruits of the Spirit. Go look at it in the original. There's not an S there. It says the fruit of the Spirit, not fruits. That's why I like to know what Scripture says. People come to me all the time with all kind of stuff, and I tell them, listen, you need to know what God's Word says for you. Don't go off the pastor. Don't go off the YouTube video speaker. You go off of God's Word. Now, if what they say lines up with God's Word, then you can receive it. You can live by it. You can hold on to it. You can keep it. But I want you to look at this. This is important. And I really want to encourage you, if you're not in God's Word daily, get in it. If you're not, listen, you may be like me. You might drive a lot. You might, have a lot going on. And you don't get to actually sit down with God's Word, but just some points of the day. Put it on audio. Listen to it as you drive down the road. Listen to it while you lay in your bed. Every night of my life for 12 plus years now, I have listened to God's Word. Why? Because I want to hear it. One, the Lord told me years ago that when I voice it, you voice it, or whatever voices His Word, when God's Word is voiced, it activates the power of Him in the atmosphere that we're in. I don't know about you, but I want the power of God activated in my life, my marriage, my home, my family, my vehicle, my whatever. Amen? I want it active. I want it alive. I want it doing something. Remember, Jesus defeated the devil, what? By the written word. He didn't argue. He didn't fight with the devil. He just said, it is written. Go read Matthew 4, Luke 4. Both of them chapters, they start off with the same part. Go look what happened. Jesus didn't hit him with no lightning bolt from heaven and knock him to the ground. He didn't do anything supernatural. All he told the devil was every time he spoke to him, he said, it is written. Even when Satan used Scripture out of context, twisted it, perverted it, and spoke it verse for verse, line for line, word for word out of Psalms 91, verse 11 and 12, Jesus didn't argue with him. He just said, it's also written. He spoke the truth over the lie. That's all he did, and he defeated him. So all me and you got to do is really know the Word. If we know the Word, we're already in winning. We're overcomers. Amen? I had to get that out too, praise God. That chicken's going to be hot still in Jesus' name. All right, so listen. We hadn't picked it up yet. It's not going to be ready until 12:30. But listen, so it was as the multitude pressed about him to hear the word of God, that he stood by the lake, and he saw 2 boats standing by the lake, but the fishermen had gone from them and were washing their nets. Now, there is an S there, and it's supposed to be there. But listen, then Jesus got into one of the boats, which was Simon, and he asked him to go out a little bit from the land. So Jesus sat down and he taught the multitudes from the boat. And when he had stopped speaking, he said to Simon, launch out into the deep and let down your nets, with an S, it's supposed to be there, for catch. All right, so here it is. They have nets in a boat. You ever been fishing where you only had one pole, one line, one hook, and one piece of bait? That wasn't a wise fishing trip if you did. When you went, you had backup. You know, it's like I tell people when we used to go out evangelizing the streets and witnessing and praying with people, I say, look, man, we ain't going out with one piece of bait. We're going out with tackle boxes. Why? Because we're going out there to catch people for Jesus. Amen? There's many ways to do it as long as it all is in the Scriptures. Amen? There's many verses we can use to get somebody's attention, but we're going to use something because God's going to make a way. Amen? Notice the S's that are there. Because they had nets. They weren't fishing with a net. They were fishing with multiple nets because they were out to catch multiple fish. All right, so watch this, verse 5. But Simon answered and said to him, Master, we have toiled all night and have caught nothing. Nevertheless, at your word, I will let down the net, with no S. All right, so Jesus told him to let down the nets. He didn't say a net. He told him the nets they had in the boat. But watch this. All right, so when they had done this, they caught a great number of fish, and their net was breaking. So they signaled for their partners in the other boats to come and help them, and they filled up both of the boats as they were beginning to sink. But then Peter falls on his knees, and he realizes who's before him. Why am I pulling that out? Why did the Lord have us do it? Because, see, the Lord's told us sometimes to give something, and we didn't give what he said. We gave a little part that we thought would be good enough because of what we may have already not seen work out, or maybe whatever's not went the way we thought it was going to go. You know what I mean? But he's saying put down the nets. Why? Because, see, Jesus intended for all those nets to be so full that it would have took more than 2 boats to come help get what was in the net. Notice that 2 boats were beginning to sink because of one net. What would have happened if they would have dropped all them nets? Huh? Man, there would have been so much in the nets that it would have took a load of boats to come and get. You know? Now, I give off of everything. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to pray, and I just want you to be obedient to whatever he says to give. But have you ever thought about your net versus your gross, or your gross versus your net in giving? Have you ever thought about that? You know, most people give off of what as they get after it got taxed. What do you think would happen if you started giving off of the whole thing? Now, I'm not trying to persuade you or get you to do anything other than what he wants you to do. Now, I'm just dropping some thoughts in your mind. You know, people ask me. I've had people come to my property before, you know, and they've asked me. I had a guy not too long ago. Somebody gave me $11,000. The book value on it's like $11,500. And he gave me this big bass boat with a 200 Mercury on it and, you know, all this stuff. And guy standing up there, he says, man, because I had not long got it at the time when he's standing there. And he was looking, and he says, you got a bass tracker? He said, yeah, that was given to me too. And he said, and you got this big fine 20-something 1-foot boat. He said, dude, all these folks. He said, how does a man get something like this? And I said, well, I definitely don't ask for it by man. I said, but I give when the Lord tells me to give. I do when he tells me to do, and things just seem to gravitate. I can't explain it. I've given so much away, and it keeps coming back. You know, I was telling somebody the other day, we got all this wood donated now, and we got like 4 cabins, and we're fixing to build a kitchen. I said, man, we got to hurry up and build these things because somebody just gave me 20 bunk beds, brand new ones. I can't store them. You know, actually, Anthony helped me go get 20 bunk beds. We got stuff stored up. I'm like, I need more because we have no room to store what we have. Everything's coming out. I mean, there's stuff, I'm having to pull tarps out. I'm like, we got to do something now. You know what I mean? I'm giving stuff away, but it's like it keeps coming. You understand what I'm saying? And the point of what I'm saying is if we just drop our nets, you know what I mean? All right, say, Lord, what do you want me to do? I'll lay it all out, no matter what it is. You speak, you show, you reveal, and I'll be obedient and do. Amen? So I'm going to stop right there because I could go further, but we still got some talking to do in a minute. So let's just pray. Father, in the name of Jesus, I thank you for what you would have for each of us to give. So, Father, Lord, I ask you right now, Holy Spirit, you're our helper. And I thank you for just speaking. I thank you for revealing what is needed to do right now. And, Lord, I just thank you, Lord, that not only now, but from this moment forward. So, Father, I thank you right now for your grace, your mercy, your blood, your death, your burial, your resurrection, being the risen King, being the way maker, and making a way. And Lord, if there's someone here that wants to give, but they just don't have it to give, Lord, I ask you to bless them this week, Lord, so that they would have to give, and then you would show them where to give off of what they got blessed with this week so that they could be a part of seeing the harvest that you have. In Jesus' name, amen. Oh, Jesus.
All my gratitude, I could sing these songs as I often do, but every song must end, and you never do. So I throw up my hands and praise you again and again, 'cause all that I have is a hallelujah, hallelujah. And I know it's not much, but I've nothing else fit for a king except for a heart singing hallelujah, hallelujah. I've got one response, I've got just one move, with my arms stretched wide, I will worship you.
Hey, Jeffrey, look on that side of the screen and put that text to give up. He asked about that number. I know it's on the screen. While he's pulling that up, guys, today we're going to talk about integrity. There's the number right there that asked about the text to give. Yes. What he said. I do know that works because I've used it before, but I know some of the other ones say the website works better for them. Well, guys, so we're going to talk about integrity today. I know some of you that's been here with us some, you know, the last Sunday of the month we've talked about a different title. Years ago I went to the main campus, the Lord actually told me to go there. I went and met with Pastor Brian. That was right before they left the airport, which I used to go to Saturday night and do a lot with that. A bunch of us used to be a part of going there and in the ministry there. So I was at the main campus, and that was back when Devin was the worship leader. Pastor Jerry Morris was actually there back in those days. And we were all having meetings where we all talked. Every month or two we came together. It was a fivefold office, of which I'm the evangelist of the fivefold. In the fivefold office, when you look in Ephesians chapter 4, where it talks about what we're here for, the equipping of the saints, the working of the ministry for the edifying of the body of Christ, to we all come into the fullness of Christ and to we're supposed to be. It goes a little further, but we'll stop right there. But you know, so we were talking, and anyways, we started doing what Sunday had a fifth Sunday. And you know, we noticed how we enjoyed doing it and eating, breaking bread and bringing a message on a topic. Well, then we decided to do it every Sunday, just on the last Sunday. Now, we're not saying we're the fivefold here, but what we're doing is the Lord spoke a little while back to start doing it here. And I just told the brothers here, I said, we're just going to call it Brothers with a Word. I said, it's pretty much what we are, some brothers in Christ. We got a word. So, Jeffrey, if you'd come on up. Elvis. Kyle's not with us today, guys. I got message this morning. Yesterday, he started having stomach issues real bad. Not sure what it was. We prayed for him some. So if y'all keep him in your prayers, I don't know what's going on there. I know I got messaged about it. He was supposed to be a part of it with us this morning, as we've been doing it every month. And we'll let whoever Jeffrey can start. He's got the microphone already. But listen, guys, so integrity is the message. I enjoy doing it as a group like this. It's one of the things I'm going to miss. If you don't know, me and my wife are transitioning into doing more evangelist work. I've did it for years. I was an outreach pastor. The Lord's been giving me dreams, giving me visions again. He's been showing me stuff. He's been speaking to me. He's been telling me to get back involved. And he started speaking to me a lot of verses, revealing a lot of verses to me. But then he was showing me things. And he's gave me a bunch of messages here lately. As a matter of fact, in 2 days, I put together 4 messages, and they're really serious. I mean, I couldn't get all of it out in one talk, so I probably could get 2, 3, 4 messages out of each one, and they're pretty powerful, which I've talked about identity. I'm going to share it with you so you'll understand. And one of them's identity. The other one is alignment. Don't sit down, Jeffrey. The other one is alignment, and the other one is empowerment. And then the other one is assignment. And it's amazing how it just came like a channel flow. Amen. But today we're talking about integrity. And just be open, be a sponge, be a funnel, and allow the Lord to fill you up. You're good. Oh, I got to go grab. Go ahead. You're good.
Good morning, y'all. I've always heard that integrity is doing the right thing when nobody's looking. Amen. And that's a good principle. But I got to digging deeper, and according to Scripture, it has a translation in the older language. In the little translation of integrity, there's different places that use it in Hebrew. But I looked up the translations of it, and it means the state of being unimpaired. A steadfast commitment to a strict moral or ethical code, the quality of condition of being whole or undivided or complete. Now that was the actual translation it gave for the word integrity in Proverbs. I pulled up the root word from that word. It goes back to the root word. The root word translates as completeness, fullness, innocence, simplicity, upright. Y'all hear that? Woo. The speakers. To be finished, to come to an end, cease, or perfect. Not perfect, perfect. Amen? The word perfect, if you look it up, it means to be mature, full grown. Amen? So, I was praying and saying, Lord, what does this mean? What does this have for me? And this is what He showed me. And this is what I'm going to read to you of what He showed me. So, staying committed to a strict way. Now we know the gospel, the Scriptures, amen. Now it said moral, but anybody could feel bad and say, "Forgive me," boom. But there's no repentance there, So staying committed to a strict way according to the Scriptures, the doctrine of teachings of Christ. Not what man's taught, not religion. Religion has watered it down, diluted it down. But to be in a state of mind, it's more of a mentality than it is anything else. It's more of a spiritual, mental condition. Integrity is. In Proverbs it says, walk in integrity. So your mind, we know that our thoughts lead everything, right? Actions that follow your mind, your thoughts, your action, and your attitude. That's the Greek word repentance, metanoia. So being in a state of mind to where you're dead to yourself and your ways and staying committed to the teachings of Christ, the Word of God. That's integrity. To walk it out, no matter what somebody says, no matter what it looks like, no matter what the world says it's okay for this or it's okay for that. That's not integrity. That's compromise. And once you grow and learn the Word, read the Word, study the Word, know the Word, and become one with the Word, you become closer to Him. You become more full and complete in Him. Amen? And to walk that out. To not go any other direction. To walk that out. Stay committed to that. It's hard to do that when you don't know the Word for yourself. And I like to throw the parable in there when Jesus says you hear the Word with joy, and as soon as the sun comes up, you know, it scorches it, the heat, and the parable, he says the devil comes and steals that. You hear it, you receive it, you're like, man, yeah, woo. But then something, opposition, things of the world, something comes against you, and then next thing you know, boom, you shift it and go back right to what you knew. And you didn't stay strict to it. You didn't stay to the code, amen? Some of y'all that are from the streets, you know what I'm talking about. You got a certain way to operate, and that's it. If you get out of line, then boom, you get checked. Some of y'all that have street mentality knows what I'm talking about, amen? You can't do certain things or you're going to get run off or kicked out of the club. It's the same way with Christ, but it's a lot more deeper. It's more spiritual. It's not the carnal mindset, amen? So to state of mind to where you are dead to yourself and your ways and stay committed to the teachings of Christ, the Word of God. The second thing He showed me was being one in spirit with Him. Staying full, living a life of repentance and forgiveness. Amen? Living that life of repentance and forgiveness. Walking in His grace and truth. To renewing our mind and becoming more innocent. And laying aside all the things that defile us. Growing into the perfect fullness of His image on earth. That's integrity. To hold the plow, don't look back, stay the way, head in the right direction, no matter what comes against you, no matter what bumps you off course. Be in that mindset of integrity that you're going to manifest Jesus no matter what happened, no matter what they do to you. It don't matter what come out of your mouth. It don't matter how you acted. Be in that mindset that this ain't Jesus. Boom, snap out of it and get back in your walk. That's integrity. Because in the end, you're going to manifest His image. And the way you used to be and the things you used to do are not going to have control over you anymore. It's not going to have power over you. It's not going to be able to detour you because you're not going to have that mindset no more. You're going to hold the plow and grow. And the root word was to be finished, to come to an end, to cease. Amen? And this is under the grounds of integrity. So being one in spirit, staying full, living a life of repentance and forgiveness, walking in His grace and truth, renewing our minds and becoming more innocent, laying aside all the things that defile us, growing into the perfect fullness of His image on this earth. Having a one-way mentality, surrendering completely to Him in everything. Even those things that we were talking about earlier, things that we don't want to let nothing in there. We build up this guard. We try to protect it and deal with it in our own way. Amen? And integrity is letting the Lord in and walking in that strict way according to His word. Mercy and truth, repentance. We got to show grace, mercy. We got to have that love in our heart. That perfect love will have its work in the end. That perfect finished work of God will cast out all fear. That's why we don't let nothing in, because we're scared. And we block it out, and we can't walk in that integrity. We don't want to experience that pain or that hurt again. Amen? But keep in mind, to come to an end, to be finished, to cease. You no longer exist. Having a one-way mentality, surrendering completely to Him in everything. The Lord gave me a couple scriptures here. Matthew 6:33, it says, seek first the kingdom. Not what you want to do, not the way you think you want to do it, not the way you want to handle it, not the way you want to deal with it. Seek first the kingdom. This is integrity. To put God first in everything. Go after Him, kingdom-minded, kingdom business. Every one of us was created for a purpose. It doesn't matter where you're at, what happened. It don't matter what you're going through right now. Every one of you were created for a purpose to be here right now to hear this, so you'll know that God has a plan for your life. Matthew 7:14, it says, straight is the way, narrow is the path, but broad and wide is the way to destruction. Keep in mind, it says to hold the path in integrity, amen? To strict moral code, just walk it out. Don't turn, don't shift, don't do nothing different. Stay according to the scriptures. When you're not sure or things get crazy and starts turning upside down, go back to where you had peace and say, okay, God, what have I added to my walk that's causing all this confusion? Who have I let in? What have I done? What have I not done? Go back to where you had peace last and say, okay, show me where I missed it. That's walking in His integrity. Matthew 6:10, it says, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Dead to myself. Y'all see the word, finished, to cease, come to an end. Seek first the kingdom, straight is the way, thy will be done. James 1:8 says, double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. You either in all the way, or you're standing in the middle somewhere, or you're all out. You can't do both, amen? Double-minded translates as two souls, a man who lives one life for himself and one life for God. That's not integrity. In Romans 12:1-2, don't be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. The concept of integrity is to walk it out, hold the plow, stay firm, do things fit for the kingdom, serve God, fulfill your purpose on earth, represent His fullness of His image, and don't look back. Amen. When things bump you off sideways, you get back on course and then walk it out. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Don't look back. Righteous man falls 7 times in a day, but he gets back up. Amen. He gets back up. It doesn't matter. 1 Peter 4:10, I'm not going to read it. I'm going to encourage you to go and read chapter 4, verse 1-10. I think my time's up, right? But that's integrity. That's what the Lord showed me integrity was. It's not just doing the right thing when nobody's looking. It's about doing the right thing, period. Holding the plow, because when ain't nobody looking, He's looking. Amen? Thank you.
Good morning. I don't know how this is going to work. I'm kind of like Pastor Kevin. I move my hands a lot. So if the mic goes down, just listen, I'll yell loud enough. Look at your neighbor and say, I'm building my house. We're going to get back around to that because this means something this morning. Pastor Kevin picked a real hard word to discuss, right? Because it is hard to walk in integrity. But I want to read a scripture, Psalms 15, because here is telling who gets in the secret tent. It said, Lord, who may dwell in your sacred tent? Who may live on your holy mountain? Watch what he says. Those who walk in blameless, who does what is righteous, who speaks the truth from their heart, whose tongue utters no slander, who does no wrong to the neighbor and casts no slurs on others, who despises a vile person, but honor those who fear the Lord, who keep an oath even when it hurts and does not change their mind, who lends money to the poor without interest, who does not accept a bribe against the innocent. Whoever does these things will be shaken. I read an article yesterday or the day before, and I had to put it in here. It was about a guy. He found a wallet. In this wallet was thousands of dollars, and it was on the news feed somewhere in Detroit. So he went back to the news, couldn't find out who it was, gave it back. The people were astonished that the man would return the wallet with all the money in it. But don't it seem crazy that our world is more astonished by integrity than by lack of integrity? That's the reality, right? Anytime somebody does something good, they're like, well, I can't believe they done that. So what is integrity? How do we walk in integrity? How do we know that we're there? So first I want you to understand integrity is not perfection. Because if integrity was perfection, only one person would fit that bill. It'd be Jesus Christ. So integrity is not you making a mistake and then you don't have integrity anymore, because we're all imperfect people, right? But integrity, it comes from the word tuma in the Hebrew, and it means moral wholeness, right? Blamelessness. It appears in Job 2, Proverbs 11 and 3, and it just simply means this to me. Integrity means living with consistency between belief and actions, not just appearing good on the outside, right? Because in life, what do? We compartmentalize, right? We have church over here. We have wife, kids over here. We compartmentalize. Our finances are over here. Our friends are over here. What we're doing is over here. But integrity is putting everything to the center in Christ. That we don't compartmentalize our lives, right? That everything that we do is in the center. We bring it back to Christ. Our wife comes back to Christ. Our family comes back to Christ. Our finances come back to Christ. Our sickness comes back to Christ. And when we do that, then we start living a life of integrity. Proverbs 10 says, whoever walks in integrity walks securely. But whoever takes the crooked path will be found out. Now, I don't want you to confuse integrity with reputation. Because reputation is what people think that you are. Integrity is who you really are, inside and out. See, it's not about the reputation that we have in life. It's not about what people think about us. It's about when everything is gone, right? And all the doors are closed. How do you really live your life? That's integrity. So the opposite of integrity, I love this one, is a hypocrite, right? And if you read the scripture, Jesus was actually harder on hypocrites than he was on prostitutes, tax collectors, sinners. I mean, Matthew 24, what does it say? Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites. You clean the outside of the cup and the dish, but inside they're full of greed and self-indulgence. He said, first clean. Watch this. If you want to get it right, if you want to do this thing right, he said, go clean the inside of the cup. Then clean the dish. And then he said, then the outside will also be clean. See, integrity starts on the inside of us, right? It's the things that we face. It's the battles that we face. And when we release those things to the kingdom of God, then he starts doing something. How many minutes do I got? 5 minutes? So I'm making sure I stay on my time. So I heard a story. There was a man, he built houses. He built some of the most incredible houses that have ever been seen, right? Man, he had a reputation. He didn't cut corners. And he spent 30 years of his life doing this. And he decided after 30 years he was going to give 10 more years. He was going to retire. He wanted to spend time with his wife, his family, his grandkids, and all those things. And so 10 years, he's getting ready. 9 years, 8 years. Man, he's getting down to the 5-year mark, down to the 3-year mark. With 1 month left, his boss comes to him. He says, man, I need you to build one more house. He's like, man, I told you that I was done. Like, I've given you 40 years. Why did you wait to the very last month? He said, I'm just telling you, I need you to build this one more house. So he said, okay, I'll do it. But how many know when your heart ain't in it, sometimes you cut corners? So that's exactly what happened. He began to build this house. He was hiring subpar contractors. He was cutting corners. He was doing this or doing that just to try to get through it, right? It's one of the fastest houses he'd ever built. And so he rushes through this process because he's ready to retire and his heart ain't in it, and he just don't have the kind of integrity he had because he's ready to be done so he can retire. He gets done building the house, and his boss comes to him. He says, hey, man. He says, 40 years you've given us. He said, I'm going to give you the keys to your house. I think in that moment, he realized he was building his house. You know, the same thing applies to us every day. When you wake up in the morning, how you wake up, you're building your home. How you respond to criticism, you're building your house. How often you go to the kingdom for the answer, you're building your home. So if you want to live a life of integrity, bring it back to the center, because you spend each day building your house. Thank you.
Man, y'all give him another round of applause, man. That was pretty good. Lord, you get all the glory, though. You get all the glory, Lord. My name is Elvis. Some of you know me, some of you don't. I've been with Pastor Kevin in this church for the last year. And when we first came here, we were looking for a church home. You know, we were looking for somewhere to grow. We were looking for somewhere to be accepted and to be loved and to grow in the faith. And the main thing that really stuck out to me out of both of their sermons is consistency. You know, integrity is characterized by honesty, righteousness, justice, and consistency. It also includes living a blameless life, being authentic, having a pattern of God works. So, you know, as I've walked through this, I haven't been the most faithful, but I have been consistent. And I see that even in those small seeds that I'm planting of consistency, or the places where I used to, like the brother said, cut corners in my business or in the things that I did, I don't do that anymore. In integrity, the only thing that I can honestly say is from what God has done in my life. I was, you know, a 30-plus year drug addict. I was in and out of prison for 21 3/4 years. You know, I had multiple kids who grew up without a father and were raised by the world. Now that I've had that encounter with Jesus, He has helped me to get back the years that the cankerworm stole, and that the palmer worm stole, and that the caterpillar stole. So every day that I'm able to wake up and get into my word and meditate on God's word, have that moment of that period of silence with God where He can direct my day, where He can get me into a place where I can be more consistent. I can be characterized by honesty and righteousness and blamelessness. Does that always happen? No, it don't. But I can tell you every day I can see some way that God is changing me for the better. I used to be a habitual liar. I used to, just like Brother Jeffrey was saying, I was a whoremonger, man. I was a dope seller. I was a robber. I did all of these heinous things, man. And because God knew He had a plan and a purpose for me, I can stand here today and say, honestly, you know, I walk to the best of my ability in integrity. You know what I'm saying? There was days when I just couldn't even stand to look at myself in the mirror. You know what I'm saying? But guess what? If somebody drops a phone around me, I'm going to be sure to get it back to you. You know what I'm saying? If you need a helping hand, I'm going to try to be that person. You know what I'm saying? Just like I've always been told, is say what you mean and mean what you say, but also do what you say. If you tell somebody you're going to do something, do it. You know, I like what the Bible says. It says that a man who that walks in his integrity will do what he says he will do, even if it hurts him. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, nobody likes to feel pain. Nobody likes to be feel like they're losing out. You see what I'm saying? But everything with the kingdom is all gain. You know, when you go against that inclination inside you that says, you know what, forget them, let's do this. But instead you say, no, hold up. I know that this right here is building my treasures in heaven. You know, I'm not saying that that's a reward system, but what I am saying is that when you characterize yourself as having integrity and you are representing the kingdom of heaven, then everything counts. The smallest things count. You know, whether it's being nice to somebody, saying an encouraging word, or edifying, or building up somebody. Now I'm going to get on into the rest of it. Honesty, being truthful in speech and actions, and avoiding deception. I was a bad person of deception. I was a mind manipulator. I love to control and manipulate a situation for my benefit. You know what I'm saying? Today I don't have to do that. You know what I'm saying? I know that where I'm being supplied from is just what Pastor Kevin says. All my needs are supplied according to his riches and glory through Christ Jesus. You know, he's never missed a beat. This whole 3 years that I've been walking with the Lord. Never have me and this woman here and our children wanted for anything, really. You know what I'm saying? If I always bring it to the Father and I always bring it to the forefront and say, hey, Father, this is what we need. This is what we're desiring. Now, if it's not in your will, God, I understand that, and we're not ready for it yet. But ultimately, we're looking to you. We know that you're going to be the supplier. Psalms 21:3. Excuse me. To do what is right and just is more acceptable to the Lord than sacrifice. Righteousness. Living according to God's laws and moral ideals. You know, I've always had inside of me some kind of a moral compass that told me not to do this. But I would always shut that voice down and do what I felt. You know what I'm saying? Because I was living by the standard of the world, thinking that I was my own God. You see what I'm saying? Instead of holding myself to the standard that God was requiring of me, so that way I could be a good example and a mirror of what Jesus was doing in me and through me. Justice, treating all people fairly and equitable. 1 Peter 2:12 says, live such good lives among the pagans that they accuse you of doing wrong, they may see your good deeds and glorify God in the day of visitation. Whether you know it or not, everything that you do in integrity and then for the kingdom of God will be put out on the forefront whenever the day of visitation comes. You know what I'm saying? How are you going to look in that day of visitation? Are you going to be shamefaced? Or are you going to be or is he going to say, enter in, good and faithful servant? You know what I'm saying? Enter into the rest of your master. You know what I'm saying? So all of these things that we're doing right now for the future, the seeds that we're planting in the ground, as he was saying, for the offering, and tithes and offering, everything we do, every little thing that we do is putting seeds in the ground for a future harvest. Whether you get to live and see it or not, your children will. Whether everything that you do, you will never see the end of it. Your children, your grandchildren, all of these, I love what the word says. It says that a man who follows the Lord will leave his children's children an inheritance. I mean, that sounds awesome to me. You know what I'm saying? Even though, you know, I don't got a whole lot to leave them, you know what I'm saying? But I know that in the Lord, they will be blessed. It says that in the Word of God. It says it right there in 2 Chronicles, whenever Solomon's praying over the people. It says that all of them will be blessed by the seeds that you leave behind. Consistency. Matching one's actions with one's proclaimed views. That's in Colossians 3:23. It says, do all things as if you're doing it unto God and not unto man, that you may glorify your Father which is in heaven. That's Colossians 3:23. Authenticity, being genuine and having no hidden agenda. Just what I was just explaining a while ago. Every person in the natural world has a hidden agenda. You know what I'm saying? Whether they're grooming someone or whether they're just doing this for a future fallback. You see what I'm saying? There's always a hidden agenda. Now I don't have to live like that because the love that Jesus showed me, and he gives me that integrity to walk forward and do it just because. I know I know what it feels like to be in that position. I know what it feels like to not have nobody there and me have to walk 3 and 5 miles to get to where I got to go. You know what I'm saying? I know what it feels like whenever I see somebody's heart broken because they done failed again by doing drugs. You know what I'm saying? Or lying and cheating or stealing. I know what it feels like. So I can empathize with what they're going through. And I can be that comforter or that edifier that's going to build them up. Because that's our job, whether y'all know or not. It's to edify and build up the body of Christ. Patterns of good works. Having a consistent pattern of good works. And that's in Proverbs 12:22. So I thank you. May you be glorified and may you walk in integrity in the Lord. Thank you.
That's why I don't need the microphone. It's one of the reasons why I love and I'm going to miss being able to share with people every month is I like to be able to hear what revelations God gives others. You know, when I was listening to everybody speak, everybody had an angle they came from. You know, everybody had something the Lord was speaking to them. And I had some of what a few places they went in notes, but I'm going to hit some of the highlights because I don't want to keep you in here forever. Y'all, I know I'm long-winded, and if I don't pay attention, you know, I tell people all the time, I used to really joke and kid with people years ago about it. You know, I have no concept of time. And I used to talk about how God gave me a revelation of how time is eternity's child. That time came from eternity. And if we just get caught up in eternity, eternity would invade time and time would stop. We wouldn't even focus on time no more. You know, because I got in a place where I was a part of soakings and meetings and things, and it was like we could go for hours and hours and hours. I mean, we would start at 4:35 in the evening, and we would be that time in the a.m., you know what I mean, before everything was starting to come back, you know, to reality to say, I'd say, dude, we must have been in another dimension because I'm just now realizing where I'm sitting. You know what I mean? I don't know if you've ever been there before. And I read a story one time where Joshua was at battle and they couldn't win the battle unless they had daylight. So the Lord, it said that the sun was dumb and the moon stood still. You know, and you translate that, and I was thinking about that, and I was realizing, I said, well, hold on a minute, Lord. I said, in order for that to stop, something had to happen with time, because that is how we keep up with time. You know what I mean? And that's when the Lord spoke to me, and he began to teach me about eternity and time, and how time was eternity's child, and how time came from eternity. And if I get so caught up in eternal a mindset, in a lifestyle, in a living, in a relationship with an eternal God, then what happens is that invades the time that I'm in, and time just, it's not really a big deal. You ever thought about, you know, man, I can't go that way because I'll be there forever. But anyway, so let me come back here. I want to read a foundational scripture that I have that I believe is a good foundational scripture for integrity. And I'm going to hit some highlights, and I'm going to try to keep moving so that I don't get us stuck in like a series here and not go anywhere. But in Ephesians chapter 4, look what it says in verse 1. I'm going to read it to you. It says, so I, the prisoner of the Lord, appeal you to live a life worthy of the calling of which you have been called. That is, to live a life that exhibits godly character, moral courage, personal integrity, and mature behavior. A life that expresses gratitude to God for your salvation. And all humility, forsaking self-righteousness. To be gentle, to maintain self-control, to be patient, to bear with one another in an unselfish love. You know, when I think about that unselfish love, unselfish love, it loves to know that others are going to benefit even if I don't. That's basically what it is. I used to tell people years ago, because people would say they so in love with this person. I said, no, you're not. You're in lust with them. And they'd say, oh, no, man, we love each other. No, you don't. Y'all lust each other. Because, see, what was happening and this is to give you a good example of what I'm meaning since I said that, but, you know, lust is the expense at you that I get the benefit and pleasure from it. See, when I lust you, you can pay for the whole deal as long as I'm getting pleased. But if I love you, it'll cost me something. It's at the expense of me so that you can benefit from it. Huh? See, for God so loved the world, right? It cost him in order for us to experience it. See, that's the difference. So if you're around somebody and they tell you they love you, but you the one that's always costing, that ain't love. That's called lust. They lusting what that they're getting from you. Does that make sense? So that unselfish love, you know, that love that sees no boundaries, that love that sees no limits. You know, I preached a message one time. I had a lot of people mad at me. The mess actually had a lot of people contact me, kind of a lot of conflict out of it. It was crazy. But I preached out of 1 John chapter 2 and 3, and I was talking about how that, where it talks about love is of God, and those that love God must, you know, walk like he walks, and I'm just breaking down all these parts, and it talks about there won't be no murders in heaven. And I did a study on that right there, and it said right there in the definition, it means to dislike, to strongly dislike. And I thought, wow. To dislike, to strongly dislike was the definition there. Because I saw a bunch of people that were saying, I love them, but I'm going to love them from over here. And they say, as long as they stay over there, I'm good. And I began to talk with a lot of them. And this is what I began to say. I began to say, well, if they're on that side, pleading, begging, and have repented, and they're asking God to restore the relationship, the family, the friends, the whatever, and they're pleading with God for that, but I'm on the other side saying I'm going to love them from here as long as they stay there, we're good. Both of you are not going to go into eternity with Him, because in heaven there won't be that. We'll be one, we'll walk together, love together, be all together. You know, and I began to talk about that, and I said, because see, there's still something there, that's why you're not wanting to be there. Does that make sense? And I broke that down. I had a lot of people, and I believe that's even a part of integrity. I ain't giving them my notes, but I'm just saying that we need to have that love that sees no boundaries, that sees no limits. You know, that everlasting love that loves no matter what. I've had people ask me before, they say, how can you break down what you say about you chose to forgive before you even got wronged? Because I chose years ago that I'm going to walk in forgiveness, I'm going to walk in love no matter what they do to me. I've been in the room with people that have done some things that most people don't know about, but some people do. And I've had people ask me, how could you still be in the room with that person? How could you still act like they never did it to you? Because I forgave them before they did it. I forgive them now, and I will live in forgiveness, and I will walk in forgiveness, and I will love them anyways, and I will intercede for them, and I'll know that God's going to fight my battle, and He'll deal with it. And I know that might not be easy to some, but can I tell you something? Go get on your floor tonight when you go home, turn everything else off, turn soaking music on, lay on the floor and soak in His presence, and don't do nothing but allow Him to move in your life. Ask Him to reveal, ask Him to do a spiritual surgery, ask Him to pull out anything there that's not of Him. Lay on the floor, fast all week long. Don't put nothing in your life but Him and His Word, and watch what begins to happen. Take the Beatitudes and go through them and break them down, verse for verse, line for line, word for word, and begin to be what the Beatitudes tell you to be. I promise you, your life will look different. Mine does. Am I perfect? No, I'm so far from perfect, but I've learned a few things that I'm striving after. Amen. So I want to finish this real quick. But look, it says, saying that unselfish love, make every effort to keep oneness in the Spirit. Make every effort. Every effort. Not just one effort. Nope, it didn't work. No, it's saying every effort. So everything that I can do, I got to do it. And if you make a mistake, repent and get back on track. You know, we all make the mistakes. We all have. So just keep moving forward. But look what it goes on to say. In living the bond of peace with each individual working together, make the whole successful. There's one body of believers, one Spirit, just as we were called into one hope, of which we are called by one Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God and Father of all, who is, over all and sovereign, working through and living in all. So basically it's John 17 that we all become one. You know, I'll be honest with you, my arm don't feel good. I don't like saying it that way. I'm the one that believes in the power of our words, but I'm just going to give you an example real quick. You know, everybody's asking me how I'm feeling, been contacted by so many different people. You know, I just tell them I'm overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of my testimony. I'm going to arise, I'm going to make it. You know, I'm not sitting there talking about every little dot and tinny and every part of it, but I just want to let you know something. See, this thing don't feel good. But can I tell you something? From that happening, it's messed other areas up in my life. I'm not able to do the things that I've been able to do before this happened. So see, now I can't do some things because I have this going on. See, that shoulder, whatever's in that shoulder, is a part of this body that I have as an earthly body that God gave me to borrow here on this earth. Well, if I look at it as of the body of Christ, that we're supposed to work together as the body of Christ, you know, if the shoulder's not working right, then guess what? You can't lift things, you can't carry things, you can't do things that you normally could do. But if we would rally together as, hey, there's a part of the body that's not operating correctly, let's get there and help support it. You know, I got this little thing that's helping me support my shoulder. I know that's not like actual part of the body, but it's something that they sell that you're able to purchase. But what I'm saying is what would happen if we came together like that? You know what I mean? That no matter what, we wanted to see integrity go all the way, that no matter what happened, no matter what we're faced with, because see, that's one of the things that integrity actually is not only doing what is right when no one but God is watching, but doing what is right even when circumstances, things happen, pressure gets put on, and things get difficult and tough. It's still doing what is right. You know, no matter what. Because, see, I easily could have said, you know what, I'm not going today because I'm not feeling good. I'm not going to ride in that truck knowing that it's going to ache me. It's going to be pain, that I'm going to have to feel my hip where the metal's at because something kind of feels like it got rattled when the accident, you know. But I'm still pushing the push and to move forward. Even though, yes, I feel it. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel normal. But I know I still have to do. Why? Because that's what integrity does. That no matter how I feel, I've got to go. Now, if I had a situation that was maybe contagious and I had, you know, the virus or a bug or something, yes, I'd stay home too. You know what I mean? That's wise. I would want you to stay home if you had it. You know what I mean? But this is just some aches and pains. And I know that I need to do what God's called me to do. I want to read a verse to you real quick pertaining to doing what is right even when no one's watching. And it's actually in James 4:17. And it basically says, to him who knows to do what is right but does not do it, to him it is sin. So if you know what to do but you don't do it, then it's sin. And you fill in the blank. There could be a lot of definitions in the middle of that one right there. To him or them, you could say, him or her, that knows to do right but does not do it, to them it is sin. What is it that we're supposed to do right? You know, in Galatians chapter 1, you know, there's some parts there, but I'm going to jump to the next one because I want you to listen to this. So integrity is choosing your thoughts and actions based on God's values rather than personal gain. I'm going to read that again. I want you to listen to that. Integrity is choosing your thoughts and actions based upon God's values rather than personal gain. You know, I believe you quoted, or a couple of y'all I think quoted earlier in Proverbs 10. Y'all might have quoted some of this. You know, I don't remember, but I'll say this one. 28:6, it says, better is the poor who walks in his integrity than he who is crooked and is two-faced in all that he does to become rich. See, some people are very two-faced to get what they want to get just so they get that money. You know how many jobs that I've been on before, and I don't even really work jobs. I do a little side job every now and then, but you know how many side jobs I've been on that I've had to fix because the person acted like they were one thing, but then when we got there, we had to fix 20 things because of what they did, that they didn't know how to do what they were doing. I'll never forget one time me and Robert had to go, and this lady, she was so sweet, man, and I believe God had me there more than just a floor, right? But we come in there, and they were real sweet, and then all of a sudden she got a little angry because of how things had went. And, I mean, man, there was a mess. So we're like, okay, floor's messed up here, floor's messed up here. We found like 7 or 8 places the floor messed up. Everywhere we pulled the floor up, where the refrigerator was, they didn't hook the line up correctly. It had been dripping water for over 6 months since the new floor got put down, so it had water under the whole kitchen. Okay, that caused mold and all kind of stuff to start forming. Okay, then, you know, the bathroom did the same thing. I can't tell you how many pieces of floor, vinyl plank that I found that were about that big that were up under the floor, and that's why it was lifted in places and breaking apart. Because they didn't sweep the floor, they didn't clean the floor up. But these people were supposed to be professional floor installers. But see, that wasn't what they were. They wanted that $10,000 lick they made because this was a big house. It wasn't no little house. I forget how many. I don't remember what it was. It was a lot. It was a big job, and it may have been more than that. I don't remember. I know it was like a 5-bedroom house. Had 2 living rooms. Had a huge open kitchen. Had a game room. I mean, this thing was a big house. It wasn't no little house. But the lady kept getting mad, and I kept telling her, just forgive them, pray for them, and I prayed with her. And after like 4 days of doing it, the guy that got me to do the job, me and Robert went there to do it. He shows up on the job one day, and I get there right after he was already there. And when I come in the door, that lady come to me. She had tears in her eyes. She goes, why didn't you tell me you were a pastor? And she's crying, holding me. And I said, well, what do you mean? Who told you I was a pastor? I said, you know, am I supposed to walk around and tell everybody I'm a pastor? And she said, no, but what I've been saying all this time, and you keep correcting me and telling me, come on, let's just pray for him. She said, you never told me you was a pastor. I said, well, we shouldn't just have to be a pastor to pray for somebody and forgive somebody. I said, this is who we're supposed to be, no matter who's watching, no matter where we're at, no matter what's going on. I said, we're supposed to be this 24/7. If we make a mistake, let's get back in gear, let's keep going. She's like, but if you told me you was a pastor, I'd never. I said, but see, then we'd have never got to where we are right now. See, now we know what we can work on now because this is now surfaced. You know what I'm saying? And that's why a lot of people, I've sat in restaurants before and witnessed people, and they say, look, man, you need to run with the call of God on your life, man. You could be a great pastor. I can't tell you how many people's told me that. And I've sat there with people, and they'll look, and I just kind of shake my head and never tell the folks I'm a pastor. You know, just pray with people and just love them. Why? Because I think people need to know that just normal people can pray with them and encourage them and build them up. Wow, that's a lifestyle of integrity. That's a life of doing right no matter what. Being who God's called us to be no matter where we're at. I don't need a platform. Can I tell you something? I never asked for this. I didn't ask for this. I came because the Lord told me. I didn't ever ask to be it. I'd rather stay in the background. You ever see me up here in the front worshiping? I don't never stay in the front. Unless God tells me to go to the front, I'll stay in the back. I don't have to be seen. I don't like to be in the front. I'm just being honest with you. You know, and that's what I tell people. Listen, just be who God's made you to be. You ain't got to walk around with a trumpet and a horn blowing that thing. Just be it. You know what I mean? Just live out who God made you to be. I think that's the most important part. You know, and in 10:2, look what it says. It says, treasures of the wicked and all ill-gotten gain do not profit, but righteousness and moral integrity in a daily life rescues one from death. Man, a daily life of integrity. Come on, man, I'm not going to go to all the stories, and I do have them in there, but when you get time, go read Genesis 37, start in chapter 37. You know, read through to about 50. That's the story of Joseph, man. Joseph was sold by his brothers into a slave, into a place for money to get rid of him because of a dream, a vision he shared, and because of a position that God was going to put him in. The enemy used those closest to him. Remember that the enemy, if he can't get you to quit, commit suicide, die, or do whatever, he'll use who's closest to you. He'll do whatever he can do to get you out of integrity. So he used his family, the closest to him. But notice what happened. Got sold, and then what happens when he gets Potiphar's house? Come on, man. He's in like the top-notch position, man. Sold into slavery, makes it there, the man buys him, and then boom, all of a sudden he becomes this person of a great authority in a great position. But then a woman saw how beautiful he was, which was his wife, and he wanted to snatch him, or she wanted to snatch him. He ran out of his clothes because of integrity and wouldn't stay. Ran. Then he gets caught up and gets thrown into jail. But then what happens? Since he was a man of integrity, he's now the warden's left-hand man, right-hand man, assistant to say. Then he interprets a couple dreams. Why? Because of integrity. See, that integrity, that life that he was living, no matter if I'm going to be in slavery or in Potiphar's house or now back in prison, about to be with the Pharaoh coming up next, you know, see, he didn't know that was going to happen, but he had integrity no matter what because he was going to be that kind of man. And God knew how to take him from place to place, from glory to glory, from faith to level to get him to where he needed him to be. So then after he interprets into one of the guys that died from, you know, what his meant, but the other one got restored. But then what happened is he told him, he said, look, man, I know a guy that when I was in prison, he told and exactly what he said our dreams were that came to pass. Pharaoh said, man, bring him to me. What happens? Now he is the man over all the grain, over all the food, and over everything in the whole region. I mean, what kind of deal is that? That's like the best you can get. But it was because of Joseph's integrity. So later on when you have time, even if you read it before, I highly encourage you to go and read the story of Joseph again. Take your time, though. Don't go through it real quick like a book or a novel trying to just get the chapter out. No, spend time there and ask the Lord to give you revelation, give you wisdom, give you downloads, you know, help you to evaluate your life, your situation, your circumstances with the story. And, you know, and go look at Samuel. Samuel is another great story of integrity. Faced with difficult things, difficult words. You know, I'll never forget years ago, and this has happened so many times, and I don't always like it. But as I'm talking about Samuel, you know, the Lord gave me a word one time for a young kid, and I'll never forget it. And I think I've shared it with some people here before, maybe a while back, but he come and he sat beside me. It was actually at the Wings of Life. And he come and he sat beside me, and I was eating, and you know, because I used to go every week after I graduated. And, you know, he come and he sat beside me, and he was a young kid. He was 18 years old. And when he looked at me, I just looked at him. I was eating. I was like, hey, man, how you doing? I was eating. I'm sitting there. And the Lord spoke to him, and he said, I want you to tell him that if he does not get his life right with me and begin and quit playing around with this and really get to know me, that he will leave and he will die in sin and he'll be perished from me forever. I thought, man, I ain't fixing to tell that kid that. I mean, he was already one of them smarty, you know what I mean, kind of folks. Thought he had everything together with the whole bag and book bag and 18-wheeler load of it behind him. I mean, y'all know what I'm trying to say. Years ago, I'd have called him something else, but you know what I mean. But anyway, so he's sitting there and he goes, and I told him that, and he laughed at me. He mocked me. Him and about 10 of the other folks there that was playing the system, playing the game, they cut up and they thought it was hilarious. A month later, they found him dead in a dope house in the middle of Mobile County. But see, I warned him. I've had that happen so many times with people. I've had some of them break down and start crying and beg me to pray for them and beg me to help them. And then some of them don't. But it's not up to me which one gets it and which one don't. It's up to me to, no matter what, if the situation's tough or if it's easy, to still have integrity and do the right thing. No matter what. Have I hit it 100%? No, I haven't. I wish I could tell you that I've hit it 100% and done it all right the whole way. I don't know where my percent is, but I strive, aim, push, and press to make it higher every day, every week of my life. Amen? So I'm going to read just a couple more highlights. I probably won't get into the scriptures because I don't want to. It's already 12:55. I just now realized the time. You know, they put that back there for me. You guys is free to get rid of it if y'all want. They wouldn't let me get rid of it. Oh, look, he's going to hold it up high and make sure I see it. But I have a lot of scriptures, man. Colossians 3, I was going to read some stuff there, but I'm going to move on. So listen, integrity is the concept and consistency of actions, values, and principles, of which I heard some consistency out of some of you guys. I heard some of that already. You know, and Titus talks about that. Psalms 26, James chapter 2, you know, which I'll read one of them. Look, James chapter 2, verse 12 says, speak and act consistently as people who are going to be judged by the law of liberty, that moral law that frees obedient believers from the bondage of sin. Because, guys, we need to live and act like we're actually going to stand before that one day. Now, I'm not saying that to scare you. I got several scriptures. That was one that was highlighted at the bottom, so I read it. But listen, integrity is keeping commitments even when circumstances have changed. Circumstances have changed, but I'm going to keep my commitment. Amen? I've had a lot of other people that I've seen over the years that came up with excuses or why they didn't go or didn't do, but just be a person of integrity. All right, integrity is being committed by setting high standards for your behavior. Stick to them even in difficult situations. I basically was just talking about that before I got there, about Joseph, Samuel, and Job. I may not have mentioned Job, but Job's another great story. I'm almost done. Y'all forgive me. I know I went over. But listen, integrity, be courageous and stand up in love and kindness for God's values. I am going to read a verse real quick on this one. I'm going to move forward. 1 Timothy 4:16 says, pay close attention to yourself. Concentrate on your personal development and your teaching. Preserve in these things. Hold on to them, for as you do this, you will ensure salvation both for your souls and for those who hear you. 2 Timothy 2:15 says, study the word of God to show yourself approved. For a worker need not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. One more thing I'm going to point out here. two more actually, is always be honest and choose words and actions that are sincere, not misleading. That's integrity. Be honest. Choose words, actions, things that are sincere, that are not misleading. Integrity, recover quickly and learn from your mistakes and your losses. Seize the opportunity to improve. Repent and be forgiving. The goal is to be like Christ, right living. Jeffrey gave a testimony earlier and shared, of which I'm going to tell you right now, he has had a battle with that. So for him to get up here in front of people and talk about that, he told me back there, man, I've got to go tell something. The Lord won't let me let it go. I've got to go tell him somebody in this room needs to hear it. I don't know who you are. I don't know who has that going on in their life, but I am going to tell you this. Whatever Jeffrey did, he would have never done that if the Lord wouldn't have been on him as strong as he was to do it. So that means the Lord wants to free, heal, deliver, restore, fix, repair, whatever's in the situation. One of the cool things we saw at the retreat here, we had some retreats last year. We got some more coming up this year. One of the things that I thought was cool out of a big group, and I don't remember if that was a group of the 103 that was there or the other group. We've had a couple big groups here last year that were there, but there was a lady that was there, and I'm going to share real quick on this because I just want you to hear the power of this. It's so powerful, man. That lady was in her 60s. She stood in front of everyone on Sunday, and she named men's names that molested her, raped her, and done her wrong in the Mormon church years ago. And she chose by name to forgive all of them in front of a huge group, man. She received Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior. She forgave people by name and then got water baptized in front of everybody. And I thought the power that was involved in what the Lord did in her life right there. Because for her to get there and do that in front of everybody, that's not something you get in front of a large group of people and talk about, I was raped, I was molested, I was done wrong, and I'm choosing today to forgive them. I've carried it for 44 years, she said. She was in her 60s. You know, and I thought, man, I didn't know if it was the throw aside trail or the release all before you fall that we took them all through on Saturday, of which we've been praying of ways to help people to get inner healing. But I thought, man, this is good, God. You're doing great things. And that's what I want to keep seeing. Why? Because we need that time to repent and forgive. She chose to repent and forgive right there in the moment of that encounter. I want to ask you a couple questions. I'm going to let you go. This is something you can ask yourself. I've asked myself, ask yourself these questions. And I'm not going to read everything. I'm just going to read a few because I think it's important. Are my actions loving to others? You know, this is questions of integrity to say. Is this something that I would be thankful for, proud of, or would like for people to talk about? What I'm about to do is what I'm saying. Is this the high standard or the quality of something that I can do for someone? Is this in line with the convictions and what I've been called to do? What is the motive for me wanting to do or be a part of this? What is the outcome going to look like? Would this be better left unsaid, or should I say it? Will this benefit others, or will it only benefit me? Will I make a name for him, or will this be a name for me? It's just questions, man. I mean, they may only be for me. I don't know. But I'm going to give you one more and I'm going to let you go. Will what I'm doing and saying make people long, crave, and desire him more? Or want to live for themselves because they saw me do it for myself? Now, my question to you in closing is this. Do you really know him? John 17 clarifies true eternal life in the first 3 verses of John 17. And it says, knowing the Father and the Son. Not knowing of him, knowing about him, but knowing him personally. That word confess in Romans chapter 10 verse 9 that everybody loves to use to repeat after me prayer. That word comes from 2 words in the Greek, which I'm not good at them, but I'm going to tell you what they mean translated into English. They mean to acknowledge or acknowledgement and covenant. So basically, the only way to make it into eternal realm with Him, or actually to be able to do the will of the Father that He has for my life and your life, is one, we have to acknowledge Him, make a covenant with Him, because He's the author of the will. And Matthew 7:21 says, not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he who does the will of my Father. So in order to make it into the kingdom of heaven, it ain't repeating a sinner's prayer that's nowhere in the Word of God. It's doing the will of the Father. That's the access in, fulfilling the will that's on all of our lives. So that means that I have to know the author of the will in order to be a part of the will. So if I don't know the author, then I won't know the will. It's just like if someone passes, they don't they leave their will to somebody in Italy or Australia. They leave it to their siblings that they know. Same way spiritually, there's a will that He has for our lives. So my question to you again is do you really know Him? Have you really made a covenant with Him? I see people acknowledge depression and acknowledge fear, acknowledge frustration, acknowledge rage. I see people acknowledge so many things and they have a covenant with it. You can't have a covenant with Him and with it. You're going to have a covenant with one of the two. So when that verse says, those that acknowledge and make a covenant with the Lord Jesus and believe in their heart that God raised Him from the dead, they will be sozo's, the real word there. I know most translations say saved, but the real word there is sozo. You know what sozo means? The complete package of God. That's our deliverance, our restoration, our inner healing, our breakthrough. It's everything, no matter what it is. So y'all stand up with me, and I know I'll get you out of here. Here, I'm going to leave that alone. Let one of y'all pull that. So I want to pray real quick, and then I'm going to pray over the food, and we're going to go in here and eat. But listen, if you don't truly know Him, or if you're unsure of how well you know Him, today's a great day to say, Lord, I just want to know You more. I want to have a more intimate relationship with You. I want to have a secret place walk with You. I want to have a life that has You the center, the core of all that I do and all that I am and everything about me. So, Father, right now in the name of Jesus, I thank You for every person under the sound of my voice, any watching by live stream. I thank You, Lord, for drawing us all in, Lord, that we would have a lifestyle of an integrity walk with You, just like many other people before us have. So, Father, we thank You for drawing us into a more deeper, more intimate way. And I thank You, Lord, for helping us to center everything on You and who You are. So, Lord, as everyone has spoke today on integrity, I thank You for helping us to see integrity from other angles. And, Lord, helping us to be men and women and children of integrity. I release Your kingdom of heaven over our lives. I plead Your blood, Jesus, over our lives. And I just thank You for freedom. And if there's anyone here that doesn't know You personally, Lord, today, Lord, or watching that doesn't know You personally, I thank You, Lord, that today, according to John chapter 6, You said 2 times, Jesus, in that chapter, that no one can come to You unless the Father draws him. And then You said no one can come to You unless it's been granted to them by my Father. So, Father, right now in Jesus' name, I ask You to draw every person. I ask You to grant every person to be able to come to know Jesus personally. In Jesus' name, I ask You to bless the food, bless the ones that cooked, and bless the nourishing strength of all of our bodies. In Jesus' name, amen. Love you guys. Hey, Anthony, will you? Never mind. I'll get them to move. We'll get them to move them chairs in a little bit. You can go in there and eat. Just go in there and eat for now. You're good. I was just going to move them out of the way. Love you, brother. It's good to see you, man. Ooh. Y'all gonna stay and eat? I gotta turn this thing off. I keep forgetting. I keep wanting to reach with my left hand. I gotta leave that. It's
just to know you're